Good morning, everybody. This is Diggs. It's another beautiful day out here in the Pacific Northwest, and Persona 5 is coming out later on tonight, so I hope to see you guys all on stream. Today, we're going to be talking about Violet. We're going to take a look at her kit. We're going to talk about what she can do, how she's going to fit in on the global side. I think she's going to be much more loved over here than she was on GP for a specific reason: Light Evade. Let's go ahead and dig in. Now, Violet is different than Joker in that most people could probably pull Violet and utilize her right away. I think the biggest question with Violet is, will she be kind of the third cog in a light evasion formation with Elena, Locke, and Violet? Or are you going to see her interchanged, right? Are you going to maybe, potentially change her out with Engelbert or Jayden, depending on the situation, right? I think she's going to be not a necessary part of Light Evade, but I think she'll be just one of those units who, maybe you're a newer player, maybe you don't have Elena, right? Maybe you don't want to pull for a 100 cost unit, but you have Locke and you want to make Light Evade work. You're going to be able to grab Violet and make her work. And I think universally Violet will be a good unit to chase, because she has those multi-hit attacks that are so valuable and coveted in PvE. Very important. And while Light does have more units nowadays that can multi-hit attack and slash chain, Light is still nowhere as powerful as Dark in terms of PvE content. And I'm just excited to have another Light slash chaining unit. So let's go ahead and take a look at her kit here. She is a very unique unit in that she has movement 4 right out the gate. So she has move 4, jump 2. You don't need to set a passive to get increased movement. You don't need to do anything. She just has movement 4. Her primary weapon is going to be swords. She can equip hat, clothes, and accessories. Sub-job duelist and gunner is going to be pretty important, especially sub-duelist. You will probably universally sub-duelist on her, unless you're in PvE, in which you'll go LaFoa sub. Her TMR is going to be Violet Replica Mask. I don't see people using this. Defense 7, evade 12, critically evade 12. Restores 20 AP for self and decreases chance of being targeted. Maybe for the decreased chances being targeted, but I really think with Violet, you kind of want her to be targeted. Particularly in regards with her counter. So, something to think about there. Her mastery ability, HP 10% for light allies, light attack 15 for light allies, is going to give evasion 5 for self and attack 15 for self. When we look at her stats, she has the 6th highest luck in the game. Very important for anybody who knows, who's looking to either insert her into any type of an evasion formation or potentially wonder how powerful her accuracy is going to be. She comes with 10% slash resistance. She is weak to pierce, which is a trend that seems to keep going on right now. I'm wondering if we're going to see, because we're already seeing more Oberons right now, because a lot of people are running Earth currently to counter Esther, it feels like, even though Oberon is not a good counter for Esther because she has so much pierce resistance. But I wonder if that's going to end up hurting the Persona units who all seem to be weak to pierce. She does have striking resistance. She does have 5% resistance to magic. She's got agility 72, which is pretty monstrous. And looking at her skills, what's interesting about her is I think you will universally not set her main skills. So I think you're going to be setting all of the fencer subs, right? So that's going to be defense penetration 40, evasion 12, critical hit rate 15, critical damage 20. Yes, you could set increased range 2 from gunner sub. You could set nullify doom and instant death is pretty important in some situations. Attack 24%, critical 15 is good, but candidly, if you're getting critical hits, that critical damage 20 is going to make such a big difference for damage. And defense penetration 40, you just can't run. You can't not run defense penetration nowadays. Like, that's one of the things that significantly makes units more viable nowadays as opposed to older units. Same with evasion, right? Like, she's going to be an evasion unit at her core. You need to have evasion set on her. Now, her most unique ability is going to be her counter, and this is going to be the counter that you do have set. So this is a 100% activation if she does evade. It's going to give her slash resistance penetration 30 for this attack, and it's going to do 121% damage counter on the opponent, and it has to be within 4 spaces. So very unique ability. We've never really had a 100% counter proc rate ability. Things that will not work or proc this, right? If you're outside of the caster's range, so if you're outside of the counter range, if you actually hit her, right? If you're actually able to hit her, the counter is not going to proc. So what this basically does is it makes her more powerful against units without 100% hit. And I think what this really does in terms of global situation is it makes her more powerful against other light evasion formations, right? Because light evade, you know, unless you're throwing Jayden in there, does not have a 100% hit attack. So you're going to be just that much stronger potentially, you know, if you're just rolling the dice, right? Or maybe you're going up against a Locke or an Elena that have already procced Guts or re-raise, right? And this is just that counter that, you know, hits and defeats the opponent. So really great stuff. This is going to be really powerful. I think we will see her used for this ability, and I'm kind of curious as well if we might see this used in any PvE solo capacity for the future. I'm really curious how it's going to work, and if maybe you can use it to potentially like self-chain as well. Gonna be very interesting to see. In her primary kit, her main attack is point blank, which is interesting. 175% modifier attack. It's very rare for us nowadays to have a main low AP attack that's like point blank like this. Her buff is going to be Brave Step, which will increase critical rate 25, critical damage 25. Very powerful. It's going to activate those other critical buffs that she does have. She has two other buffs. She has a party-wide buff, which will give CT up on hit. So if your allies or you crit, it would be plus 150 CT on your attack. And then it's going to give evasion rate 25 for herself. So she has a lot of good buffs. You're probably not going to use the crit rate buff here. I would imagine you're going to use Guts, which is her job level 25 ability, and you're probably going to use this Fascinate Me buff as well for restoring CT. I think she has enough critical hit rate that she'll probably have close to 100% critical hit rate without this buff. We'll have to, it'll be one of those things where we kind of have to wait and see. We do have Go Out here, which will be a decreased defense by 30 on the opponent to hit attack. Great for chaining. It'll paralyze the opponent if you do land a critical hit, which will be very powerful, and it has range. So for those of you that know, the multi-hit attack abilities, a lot of times where they fall off is they don't have range. Especially in light formation, there's a lot of units, I believe it's Cecil, that doesn't have range on his multi-hit ability. So it's really nice that she has that range on it. What's also nice is one of her main attacks, Space Killer, I'm gonna guess it's called, is gonna be 165x modifier, decrease AP 15, restore AP 10 when critting. Nice area of effect here. Gonna have 3 range, gonna be a 3x3 square. Just absolutely destruction incarnate. This will probably be what gets you a lot. Again, I said it with Joker, I'll say it with her. Whenever you have an ability that has like this level of range, you know, it's just killer. It's gonna be great. It's amazing for farming. It's amazing for PvP. The one thing you're probably noticing so far in her kit, though, is that she doesn't have a 100% hit attack or any plus accuracy. So there's that to keep in mind right now as well. Her sub kit has a 3-hit attack, which is also pretty good, 131x modifier. So you'll probably be setting her very much in a PvE capacity for this defense down in that 3-hit. She also has a buff for light attack 35. I think most of the time, though, you're going to be subbing duelist most likely. You know, again, there's more buffs in the duelist sub that are really powerful. You know, evasion 25, single hit resistance 20, increase move 1, critical hit rate 25, increase AoE resistance 15 for self and allies, restore AP when landing a critical hit. Like, there's so many different ways that you could build her in terms of buffs and abilities. Like, you could legit get her to move 5. Like, I know a lot of times having movement like that isn't necessarily a big deal, but I think once you're able to break into like movement 5, it does change things. And I think especially when evasion and accuracy is concerned, being able to attack from behind is pretty important. So maybe being able to get that move 1 and guaranteed critical hit almost from that buff is going to make this buff significantly more relevant. I could actually see that happening. So there's lots to consider in her kind of buff priority, what you're going to want to do. I could see her being very confusing in manual match play. It's just overall going to be interesting. Her limit break is probably the boringest limit break we've seen in a long time. Range height 2, range 4. She has a 3 hit with a critical chance of 50%, 200x modifier. I mean, okay, like that's going to be what it's going to be, right? Like, it's not amazing. She does have arm shot. She does have access to leg shot, blackout, but I mean, you're never going to sub her gunner. I don't think you will ever. I can't think of off the top of my head like any situation, and I'm sure someone down in comments, someone literally down in the comment section is gonna be like, but Diggs, you're gonna sub her gunner all the time. Yeah, I hear you. Okay, whatever you say, dude, whatever you say. But yeah, looking at her kit, I mean, I think she's gonna be popular. I think she's going to have a more immediate, powerful impact on the game than Joker does. I think people are going to sleep on Joker. They may sleep on Violet as well, just in terms of thinking, you know, do you really need Violet if you have like Engelbert and Jayden filling in with Locke and Elena? Is kind of a tough call. I mean, it'll be interesting. I think it's going to be one of the more interesting units to release, and it'll be curious to see, you know, how people utilize her. And I literally just think, like, at the point that we're at right now, like, we've dealt with light evasion so much. Is another light evasion unit really that scary or really that relevant? That's kind of where I'm at right now. I'm like, am I really scared of this? Is this going to be powerful, or is this just more of the same, more of what I've dealt with, more of what I've learned to counter, right? I think, you know, looking at it that way, you know, she's not as scary as she kind of seems. So thanks so much for watching, everybody, and I will catch you guys next time. Probably catch you guys on stream tonight, because we are going to pull for the Persona 5 unit. So I'll see you guys then.